All right, let's go. Power rankings, the Vols. You can check it out on offthehooksports.com. And we want to get to that right now. Where should Tennessee be? Fill in the message board because Caleb and I disagree, and we're going to discuss why I'm right and Caleb's wrong here momentarily. What do you think about that, Caleb?
Let's go. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. SEC power rankings after week 9. Very little change. Just do this for me. I'm going to go from the bottom up. And you, if there's somebody you want to address specifically that has either made a move or made an impression, you say, ho up and stop me, which sounds like hooker up, but different. Vanderbilt 14. Way to go, Doors. South Carolina.
They didn't play, so they did play. They lost to Ole Miss, excuse me.
Yeah. South Carolina 13. Man,
they dropped a spot.
Weren't they as high as like 5 at one point in the season, or am I misremembering?
I don't think they were as high as 5, but they dropped a spot because they lost to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M would have covered if Jimbo Fisher didn't sit on the lead at the end, which he chose to do, which annoyed me as a gambler. But
yeah, and your gambling is going to have you drinking coffee with mayonnaise in it. Arkansas, number 12.
Didn't play this week. South Carolina and Arkansas are in this tier I consider really, really bad, but above Vanderbilt. They're in that tier together. And so they just flipped spots this week.
Florida, 11. How in the heck did Tennessee lose to that team? Mississippi State, number 10. Kentucky.
Another tier for Florida and Mississippi State. They're in a similar tier, but I flipped them because I don't know if you think I'm crazy, Dave, but I think the way Florida lost to Georgia looks worse than the way Mississippi State lost to Auburn. Am I crazy for saying that, even though Georgia's so much better?
No, I don't hate that. No, I don't hate that at all. Tennessee's opponent from the past weekend that they beat, where do they fall in the power rankings? And power rankings today brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook. Go to Facebook and look for Sports Treasures TN to get updates more than daily. And also you can get them, you can get a lot of Tennessee memorabilia there. And the book, if you'd like to purchase the book, Celebrate 98, The Untold Stories Behind Tennessee's 1998 National Championship, you can go there or you can order it right below. And we've got some Fred White copies left over, not a lot, that are autographed, so we can hook you up with that. You've got Kentucky at number 9. Why?
Yeah, they didn't change at all. I mean, they were coming off a bye. They lost by 6 points to a team that I have better than them. It was a bad look to lose off a bye, but they're right where I thought they were. People talk about Mark Stoops playing easy schedules at the beginning of the year, and then things creep up on them. I still think he's an amazing coach, but yeah, they're always going to be middle of the pack.
Yeah, man, we're going to get to Alabama, but I'll tell you what, Rocky Top Tom, what he said is absolutely on the mark. It's absolutely mediocre to go to Florida and get whipped by a mediocre team and then lay a complete egg versus Alabama when you had your foot on the throat at half. There's a lot of truth to that. Tennessee is so close to being an undefeated football team, but I know a lot of schools around the country could say that. Auburn at number 8. That's respectable, I think, for first year under the Ultimate John. Texas A&M is number 7, and then Tennessee at number 6. All right. This is where we get into an issue because Tennessee right now, if you're doing power rankings, how you define them, and that is how they're playing at the time, Tennessee's number 3. Tennessee
no, they're not.
Tennessee would beat Ole Miss. Tennessee would beat LSU. Tennessee would beat Missouri. You have those 3 teams in front of them. Message board, do you agree with Caleb or me? What about Tennessee in at number 6? I think you're being too hard on the Vols after a great showing in Lexington.
A great showing. It was a 6-point win.
It's totally in control. Don't give me that. They were in control the whole time. You never thought that they were going to lose, and you said that.
I did say that. And I had to give qualifiers as to why Missouri looked so much better at Kentucky than Tennessee did, though. So I know you hate Missouri, Dave, but they're 7-1 and in the top 25. And guess what? They're a real threat against Georgia this weekend. And I'm just going to say that. Do you think they're a threat or not? You let me know.
No, I don't. Really? I think they're only a semi-threat against Tennessee. A semi-threat. If Tennessee plays a B- or C game, then they can lose to Missouri. I think if Tennessee plays a B or better game, they win.
Okay, well, I still might pick Tennessee over Missouri, but I think right now, if they played together, I think Missouri might be favored. Honestly, now
No
LSU,
way.
LSU would definitely be favored over Tennessee. LSU's the best two-loss team in America. I'm back to the Calhoun with the
Here
EAUXN.
he goes.
They are. Did you guys watch how they were playing before they hit their bye? They were blowing out teams in a way that they hadn't been. Jane Daniels, if not for those two, Jane Daniels is a Heisman candidate right now. He's the best quarterback in the SEC, and he's a top 5 quarterback in the country. Y'all
Ole
aren't
Miss
paying attention.
Ole Miss number 3. That's good for Lane Kiffin because maybe he can get in the college football playoff talk so he can get another job in the offseason. Alabama number 2, Georgia number 1. I'd love to argue with you about number 2, but you've got basically a groom for number 2, and you got a bunch of bridesmaids after that. I don't know that anybody makes a strong argument for number 2. Certainly not a strong argument for number 1, but Alabama in at number 2. Was there anybody in your mind that was close to knocking them down?
No, and I think if Alabama, I think this Alabama team. Look, it's really hard for me to put them behind Georgia, if I'm being honest, because I think this Alabama team right now, they look like the best team in the country. I mean, they were down 20-7 to Tennessee, and people want to say, "Oh, Tennessee laid an egg, mediocre." It wasn't about what Tennessee did against Alabama. It was about Alabama decided, okay, enough fooling around. Let's put these guys to bed. I mean,
Yep.
sometimes I don't know how you feel about this. Everybody likes to be like, "It's what we did when we lost." No, it's what the other team did. It's what Alabama did. Sorry, Tennessee. Alabama was just that good. They came out of halftime, and Nick Saban said, "Yeah, they can't really. They don't have a receiver to dictate coverage. Their secondary is a little weak. Yeah, let's just put them out of their misery real quick."
This on the message board as we shine the light on you. Raleigh says, Dave, we need Mizzou to beat Georgia if we want any realistic shot at Atlanta. I'm aware of that. Do we have a line on that game yet? Can you look that up? Smoky Mountain Red says, I just have a feeling that Georgia will make them look like the Missouri we all know. I think so too. I think Missouri's better, but I think that Georgia comes out and instead of playing down to their opponent as they're known to do, this is kind of the one that perhaps gets the Bulldogs' attention.
Well, Vegas agrees with you because Georgia's a 20.5-point favorite.
Whoa, they're a what? 20.5-point favorite?
Yep, 20 and a
Can
half.
we redo the power rankings and drop Missouri a little bit, Caleb?
No, we cannot. We cannot.
They're in ink. They're not pencil.
Well, it's in pencil because the rankings change every week. It's fluid. Okay.
It is fluid. Look at Rocky Top Tom getting on John C., who is Caleb Calhoun. John C., that's an incredibly naive take. Sorry, brother. Alabama didn't win that game. We lost it. We gave that game to them on a silver platter.
No, that's drinking orange Kool-Aid because people do that. They're like, we gave the game away. You know what they never pay attention to, Dave? They never talk about the ways the other team gave them the lead in the first place. No one ever says, well, this team gave us this lead in the first half. It's always we gave it to them. Alabama dominated the second half. Tennessee couldn't run the ball. That's not giving it away. That's Tennessee couldn't run the ball. Why? Because Alabama was better up front. It's just that simple. And I'm sorry, that's where football starts. Alabama dominated the line of scrimmage in the second half. Tennessee couldn't buy a run game, and that's why they lost.
Okay, so Tennessee needs Georgia to lose another SEC game. And they also need to beat them. And they also need to beat them to get to Atlanta. So they got Missouri. They're a 20.5-point favorite over the Tigers. And then they've got Ole Miss. So let me ask the question out of the message board because Travis brought it up. If you had to put your eggs in one basket, it is Georgia. It is Missouri or Ole Miss is the most likely team to beat Georgia and open the door for a potential SEC East championship, if we call it a championship, and make it to the SEC championship game.
It's Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss because Ole Miss is better, and Georgia will be looking ahead of Ole Miss to Tennessee.
I would agree it's Ole Miss.
By the way, the other side. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Watch out for this, Dave. You ready for something crazy? You know, if LSU beats Alabama this weekend, and LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss win out, you got a 3-way tie for the West.
Yeah, and then it gets really goofy because it almost happened to Tennessee one time. It can actually get down to a coin flip. You do against common opponents. You do
record against common opponents. It used to be who was ranked highest in the BCS.
Yeah, I don't think that's a factor anymore. But does it really matter? Because the college football playoff is just going to. Well, it matters who makes the SEC title game.
Yeah, because that's going to be who gets the college football playoff nod. The way I would do it is who's ranked highest in the college football playoff. But, you know,
why would you give a college football playoff committee more power? You know as much football about as any of those guys that are on that.
Maybe do. You know what I would do? I would do schedule strength within the SEC, but they're not going to do that because, as Josh Pate told me one-on-one this summer at SEC Media Days, he's like, Greg Sankey and the SEC are committed to making you believe that every team in the conference is on an even playing field.
In what shape, form, or fashion? I'm not even following that.
That's because I said that next year when the SEC gets rid of divisions and does 8 conference games for 16 teams, they would have to do schedule strength to determine the top 2 teams. Because there's just no way somebody's going to play Vanderbilt every year and somebody's going to play LSU every year, or Alabama or Georgia. And the SEC is going to treat those games like it's the same. They're not.